They texted at dawn, "We're skipping your kid's party. Tight month." By sunset, my feed was all pink balloons and cake towers for my niece. My son stared at the screen, whispering, "Maybe they forgot me. Again?" I smiled for him, pressed my thumb into a smear of green frosting, and told him it was fine. It wasn't. That same night, I opened a folder on my laptop labeled "When They Remember Us." Inside, quiet evidence: $47 for braces, $120 for prescriptions, $300 for utilities. Every line a small silence I'd once filled. I'm Ava Miller, 28, from Columbus, Ohio, single mom to a 10-year-old boy named Liam, and I'd spent weeks planning his dinosaur green birthday. Volcano cupcakes with red icing lava, fake egg scavenger hunt in the backyard, homemade banners taped crooked across the living room. They'd all RSVP'd yes, every single one. When they didn't show, Liam kept glancing at the street, head tilted, hopeful. Each time a car slowed outside, his shoulders lifted, then fell when it passed. The sound of tires faded down the block, leaving that kind of silence that stretches. Too long, too heavy. Each one hurt a little more than the last. You ever watch your kid wait for people who don't come? That specific kind of stillness when hope starts cracking? He stood by the window for an hour, green party hat sliding crooked on his head, hands pressed flat against the glass. I kept checking my phone. No calls, no apologies, nothing. Just the sound of his breathing and the clock ticking louder than it should. After the candles burned down to waxy stubs, I scrolled my feed and froze. Mom's backyard, pink balloons everywhere, confetti scattered like lies across the grass, gifts stacked taller than the cake, Brooks girls twirling in matching dresses, laughter spilling through the video like salt in a wound. I watched it twice, then a third time, trying to find the part where it made sense. Liam climbed into bed that night without asking why, just pulled the blanket to his chin and whispered, "Maybe next year they'll remember." I kissed his forehead and turned off the light before he could see my face. Their excuse was simple: tight month, 2 words, clean, final. But the receipts told another story. Proof of love I kept paying for long after it stopped being returned. I scrolled through that folder for 20 minutes, transaction after transaction. Groceries when dad's check bounced, car repair when mom's engine died, emergency vet bill for Brooks' dog, all labeled with little notes I'd typed to myself: "Family helps family." I sat there in the dark, laptop glowing, and realized something. I'd been filling their silences for years, and they'd gotten so used to it they stopped noticing the sound. The next morning, fists slammed against the front door, hard enough to rattle the frame. Liam jumped on the couch, eyes wide. Dad's voice thundered through the wood. "Where's this week's help?" Liam tugged my sleeve, voice small. "Mom, is Auntie coming today?" I looked down at him, green frosting still under his fingernails from yesterday, party hat crumpled on the coffee table behind us. And I thought, how many times can a kid ask that question before he stops asking altogether? If you've ever watched your child wonder why family skips his joy, stay. I opened the door and let Dad shout. He said we'd humiliated them, that we were ungrateful, that girls are easier to celebrate. You know how it is. His face red, spit flying, finger jabbing the air between us. My husband, steady, quiet, just stepped forward and said, "We're done." 2 words, same as theirs, but ours meant something. Dad's mouth opened, closed, then he turned and walked back to his truck without another word. Engine revved loud enough to wake the neighbors. Tires squealed. Gone. Liam watched from the hallway. I knelt down, pulled him close, and whispered, "We're okay." He nodded against my shoulder. I wasn't sure if he believed me. I wasn't sure I believed me either. That afternoon, I logged into the bank, hands shaking, coffee cold beside me. I scrolled to the auto transfer section and shut down every single one. Groceries, repairs, emergencies, the little payments that had become routine, expected, owed. Click, click, click. Each one felt like pulling stitches. Then I opened my email and typed, subject line, boundary notice. From this week on, we won't cover groceries, repairs, or emergencies, including the $47 you needed for braces last spring. You're adults, so are we. I read it 3 times, deleted a sentence, added it back. My finger hovered over the send button for what felt like an hour. Then I pressed it before I could flinch. The little whoosh sound, gone, irreversible. I checked my account, empty, but free. For the first time in years, the balance felt like mine. Have you ever cut someone off and felt relief before the guilt even arrived? I sat there staring at the screen, waiting for the panic, the regret, the voice in my head saying I'd overreacted, but it didn't come. Just quiet, the kind that doesn't stretch or hurt, just sits. Then I started scrolling. Old screenshots, receipts I'd saved in case they ever asked where the money went. And I found it, a bounce house invoice, dated 3 days before that tight month text. $250 for a 6-hour rental, pink castle theme, delivered to Mom's address. I laughed, one sharp sound that didn't feel like joy. Liam looked up from his coloring book. "You okay, Mom?" "Yeah, baby, I'm okay." But I wasn't laughing anymore. I closed the laptop, set it on the counter, pressed my palms flat against the cool surface, and breathed. In through the nose, out through the mouth, the way the therapist taught me. Then I heard it, tires crunching on gravel outside, slow, deliberate. I walked to the window. A silver minivan pulled into the driveway, engine idling. Brooke stepped out, holding a green-wrapped box to her chest, her face pale, eyes red. She didn't knock, just stood there. I opened the door. Brooke stood there, pale, eyes ringed with fatigue, the kind of tired that comes from holding something heavy too long. She didn't say hi, just walked past me into the living room and sat down, the green box still pressed to her chest like armor. "I was at urgent care," she said, voice flat. "Chest pains, short breath. They ran tests, said it was anxiety." She laughed once, bitter. Imagine that. I sat across from her, waited. "I planned to come," she continued. "Gift was wrapped, car keys in my hand. Then I heard Mom in the kitchen talking to Dad." She paused, swallowed hard. She said, "Because he's a boy, boys don't need all that fuss." The room went still. Outside, a dog barked. Someone's lawnmower hummed in the distance. Inside, just the sound of us breathing. You know that moment when you realize something you've always suspected is actually true? When the thing you've been calling paranoia turns out to be just seeing clearly? Liam peeked around the corner, shy, curious. Brooke's face softened. She reached into the green box and pulled out a card. Homemade, glitter hearts, green marker edges, crooked letters spelling "To Liam." He took it carefully, opened it slow, read the words his cousins wrote. Then he smiled, faint but real, green like mine. Brooke's eyes filled. She nodded, green like yours. The blinds cut stripes across her face, light and shadow, and I realized something I'd been too close to see. She'd been covering for them for years, making excuses, smoothing things over, playing translator between their cruelty and my hope. "I'm tired, Ava," she whispered. "I'm so tired of pretending they're not choosing favorites." She unlocked her phone, hands trembling slightly, scrolled to our family thread, the one we'd used for years. Birthday reminders, holiday plans, random memes. She turned the screen toward me. My name was gone. Not muted, not archived. Gone. Like I'd never been added in the first place. The thread continued without me. Messages about Brooke's girls, about Dad's truck repair, about Mom's book club. Digital erasure. Clean. Efficient. A soft ding echoed from my pocket. I pulled out my phone. Empty notification. Nothing to retrieve. Just the ghost of a sound that meant nothing anymore. Have you ever been removed from something so quietly you didn't even notice until someone showed you the gap? I stared at the screen, then at Brooke. She was crying now, silent tears tracking down her cheeks. I didn't know until last week, she said. I searched for your name to tag you in something, and you just weren't there. I set my phone down, hands steady, voice steadier. How long? Since March, right after you asked them to chip in for Liam's field trip. March, 4 months ago. 4 months of me sending messages into the void, thinking they were just busy, just distracted, just anything but this. Liam climbed onto the couch beside me, quiet, listening, understanding more than I wanted him to. Brooke wiped her face, took a breath. Her voice steadied, firmer than I'd heard it in years. I'm talking to them tonight, she said, alone. Brooke came back 2 hours later, face blank, eyes empty, in a way that scared me. She sat down without a word, just stared at her hands for a long moment. Then she spoke. Dad shrugged, she said, voice hollow. I told him what Mom said about boys not needing fuss, and he just shrugged, said some kids are just more lovable. The air left my lungs. Mom nodded, Brooke continued, like it was fact, like gravity, like something everyone knows but doesn't say out loud. I sat there, frozen. Inside my head, I whispered, or just louder, because that's what it was, wasn't it? Brooke's girls were loud, performed, knew how to tilt their heads and say the right things. Liam was quiet, thoughtful, loved dinosaurs more than people sometimes. And apparently, that made him less. Have you ever had someone confirm the worst thing you suspected about yourself? Not with cruelty, just with casual agreement, like they're commenting on the weather? Brooke's hands were shaking again. She pulled out her phone, hesitated, then turned the screen toward me. Screenshots, a shared payment app, the one we all used for family expenses. My transfers were there, every single one. $47, $120, $300, all of them. But they'd been relabeled, not by me, by Mom. Miss Blessings. I read it twice, then a third time. Miss Blessings. Like she'd given the money, like her generosity had covered groceries and prescriptions and utilities. My help turned into their narrative, their proof of being good parents, good grandparents. I laughed, one sharp bark that didn't sound like me. She rebranded my kindness. Brooke nodded. She's been doing it for months, maybe longer. I didn't notice until I went through the transaction history. I zoomed in on the dates. March, February, January, going back almost a year. Every payment I'd made, quietly renamed, quietly claimed. They're showing people, Brooke whispered, at church, at family dinners, proof they're helping you. The room tilted. Not much, just enough to notice. You ever had someone twist your kindness into their excuse to keep taking? Turn your sacrifice into their reputation? I handed the phone back, my hands steady now, calm in the way that comes right before a storm. I'm done being their blessing, I said. Brooke looked at me, really looked, then nodded. Yeah, me too. We sat in that silence for a while, the kind that doesn't need filling, just acknowledgement. Then the doorbell rang. We both froze, looked at each other. I stood, slowly, walked to the door, opened it. No one there. Just a glossy, green-striped gift bag sitting on the mat. Tissue paper puffed up like fake celebration. My phone buzzed. Camera notification. I pulled it up. There, 2 houses down. Mom's car, parked, idling. She sat in the driver's seat, eyes low, hands gripping the wheel. Then she pulled away, fast, like she couldn't leave quick enough. I stared at the gift bag, didn't touch it. Brooke came up beside me. "What is it?" "I don't know," I said, "and I don't think I want to." I brought the bag inside, set it on the kitchen counter, stared at it for a full minute before opening. Liam was in his room. I could hear him building something with his Legos, the soft click of pieces snapping together. Safe, oblivious. I pulled back the tissue paper. Inside, a dinosaur toy. The big one, the T-Rex, with the articulated jaw and light-up eyes. The one Liam had circled weeks ago in the toy catalog, then crossed out himself when he saw the price tag. I held it, felt the weight of it, cold plastic, sharp edges. My hands shook. I remembered his list taped to the fridge, 3 items. This was number 1, written in green marker, big letters. T-Rex, the real one. He'd added a smiley face, then later a careful X through the whole thing. For a second, just a second, I wanted to forgive, just to stop hurting, just to let Liam have this one thing, just to make the ache go away. But then I thought about misc blessings, about the bounce house invoice, about my name erased from the family thread, about Dad saying some kids are just more lovable. I put the dinosaur back in the bag, grabbed my keys, drove to Liam's school. The nurse's office was quiet, fluorescent lights humming, smell of antiseptic and old carpet. I walked straight to the donation bin in the corner, the one they kept for families who needed extra supplies. I dropped the bag in, heard it thud against the bottom. The nurse looked up. "Oh, that's kind of you." I nodded, walked out before she could say anything else. Sitting in the car, engine idling, I thought, revenge shouldn't taste this calm. But it did, clean, final, like closing a door I'd been holding open for years. My phone buzzed, unknown number. I almost didn't open it. Overreact much? I stared at the text, read it twice. Then I typed back, fingers steady. Overreact? Try overgive. We're done sipping. I hit send, waited. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Then nothing. I drove home, pulled into the driveway, turned off the engine. That's when I saw it. Voicemail alert, blinking red on my screen. I pressed play. Dad's voice crackled through, angry, louder than the speaker could handle. "You'll regret." Then static, sharp, overwhelming. It swallowed the rest of his words whole, just white noise and the faint echo of his breath. The message ended. I played it again. Same thing. Cut off at the exact same spot. Have you ever had someone try to threaten you, but the universe just mutes them mid-sentence? I saved the voicemail, locked my phone, walked inside. Liam was at the kitchen table now, drawing. He looked up and smiled. "Mom, can we have dino nuggets for dinner?" "Yeah, baby," I said. "We can." Days later, laughter filled the house. Real laughter, the kind that doesn't have an agenda. Liam wore a paper crown, green triangles taped crooked across the top. Brooke's girls were shrieking over cupcakes again, this time volcano cupcakes, red icing lava, the ones we'd made for the party that never happened. "Make a wish," one of them yelled. Liam closed his eyes, blew out the candles in one breath. When he opened them, he was grinning, full face, no hesitation. Brooke caught my eye from across the room, smiled, the tired kind, the grateful kind. This This was family. Later, after the kids crashed on the couch with a movie, I sat at my desk, opened my laptop. The folder When They Remember Us was still there, 47 receipts, quiet evidence of love I'd kept paying for. I created a new document, typed slowly, deliberately. Permanent boundary notice. No more transfers, no more emergencies, no more late-night calls asking for help they'd never return. I listed every standing payment, every expectation, every unspoken rule I'd been following like gospel. Then I added one line at the bottom. We are not responsible for your choices, and you are not entitled to ours. I printed it. The sound of the printer hummed through the quiet house. I folded it carefully, filed it right next to that old folder. 2 documents, side by side, before and after. Brooke walked in, holding her phone, face pale again. I figured out the unknown number, she said. I looked up, waited. It's Dad's old flip phone, the one he said was for emergencies only. Of course it was. The one he claimed he barely knew how to use. The one Mom said he only turned on for doctor appointments. Emergency. That's what he'd called me cutting them off. An emergency. You ever realize that to some people, your boundaries feel like a crisis? He's been texting me too, Brooke added, asking when I'm going to talk sense into you. I closed the laptop. And what'd you say? Nothing. I blocked him. We sat there. 2 sisters. 2 women who'd spent years trying to earn love that should have been free. We're doing the right thing, I said, half statement, half question. Brooke nodded. Yeah, we are. The next day, I was at the grocery store, just picking up basics, milk, bread, Liam's Dino nuggets. I turned the corner into the baking aisle and froze. Mom stood there, cart full, pies stacked in the front, green napkins, plastic packages of them, piled high in the basket. Our eyes met. For a second, neither of us moved. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. Somewhere, a kid was crying. Someone's cart squeaked past behind me. Then, Mom let go of the cart, just released it, middle of the aisle, turned and walked away, fast, head down. She didn't say a word. I stood there, watched her disappear around the corner, heard the automatic doors slide open, close. She leaves the green behind, like always. The cart sat there, abandoned, wheels slightly crooked. One of the napkin packages slipped, fluttered to the floor, landed face down. An employee walked past, sighed, started pushing it toward the front. The sound of those wheels rattling away stayed longer than she did. I grabbed my milk, kept walking, checked out, drove home. That evening, I was sorting mail, bills, coupons, junk. Then something slid from the pile, a bulletin, cream-colored paper, green headline across the top, Family Healing Class, Thursdays, 7 p.m. Below it, smaller text, Learn to rebuild what's broken, open to all. I stared at it, read it 3 times. My first thought, is this for me? My second, or is this from them? There was no return address, no name, just the bulletin, just the invitation. Liam called from the living room. Mom, can you help me with this? I set the bulletin down. Coming, baby. But I didn't throw it away. Peace didn't arrive. It crept in like light under a locked door. Quiet, uninvited, patient. Nights were calm but heavier than before. The kind of silence that hums, not empty, just still. Like the air after a storm passes, when you're not sure if it's really over or just catching its breath. I sat at my desk one evening, Liam's framed drawing propped next to my laptop. He'd made it weeks ago. Green crayon, wobbly letters spelling out, love looks and sees. I stared at those words for a long time, wondered if love had been looking all along, or if it had just been me, squinting, trying to see something that wasn't there. I opened my journal, the one my therapist told me to keep, wrote one line. What if mercy breaks me first? Then I closed it, opened my laptop instead, typed a message, deleted it, typed it again. Therapy can happen without me. If you start, send proof to the pediatric counselor, not to me. I stared at the screen. The message looked too small to hold the weight it carried. 13 words. Years of hoping compressed into 2 sentences. My finger hovered over send. Part of me wanted to unsend it before I even sent it, to keep the fight alive. Because fighting meant they still mattered. Fighting meant there was still something to save. But peace was quieter. It asked for something harder. Not forgiveness, not reconciliation, just acceptance. Accepting they never will. I pressed send, heard the soft whoosh, then I closed the laptop, rested my palms flat against the desk, felt the pulse in my wrists, counted the beats, waited for them to slow down. Have you ever let go of someone while they're still alive? While they're still out there, living their lives, just without you in them? That night, Liam asked if Grandma and Grandpa were coming for Thanksgiving. I sat on the edge of his bed, brushed hair from his forehead. I don't think so, baby. He nodded, didn't look surprised, just said, "That's okay, we have Aunt Brooke." "Yeah," I whispered, "we do." He fell asleep holding that green crayon drawing, the one that said, "Love looks and sees." I wondered if he understood it better than I did. A week later, another church bulletin arrived in the mail. I almost threw it away without opening the envelope. Almost, but something made me look. Same cream paper, same green circle at the top. But this time, someone had written beneath it, in pen, careful handwriting. Family healing starts with seeing your own shadows. Underlined, in the same shade of green ink as Liam's crayon. I read it twice, then a third time, trying to decode it, trying to figure out if it was apology or another performance, a trap dressed up as growth. For a heartbeat, just one, I caught myself wondering, what if they really meant it this time? What if this was the moment, the turning point, the thing I'd been waiting years to see? But hope like that was a flame that burned backward. It didn't warm you, it just scorched everything you'd already survived. So I let it go, before it lit me up again. I smiled, half pity, half peace, maybe even half pride, for recognizing the pattern before I got caught in it again. You know what's lonelier than being abandoned? Choosing to walk away from people who might, maybe, possibly, one day change. Sometimes mercy feels like standing alone in a room, green ink glinting like Liam's drawing, but this time the shadows come first, and you have to decide if you're brave enough to stand in them without waiting for someone else to turn on the light. I walked onto the porch, held the bulletin in my hand. A soft breeze picked up, warm, late summer turning to fall. The paper slipped from my fingers, caught the wind, drifted down the porch steps, tumbled across the lawn, disappeared into the neighbor's bushes. I didn't chase it, just stood there, hands in my pockets, watching it go. Later that night, I checked my phone out of habit. No messages, no calls, just the time glowing on the screen, 10:47 p.m. I waited for the ache, the hollow feeling that usually came when the silence stretched too long. But it didn't come. The silence just stayed, real, heavy, and finally mine to keep. I set the phone down, face down, walked to Liam's room, kissed his forehead, pulled the blanket to his chin. Then I went to bed, and for the first time in months, I didn't dream about anyone leaving. By spring, the silence turned warm. Not the heavy kind, not the kind that presses on your chest at 3 a.m., just quiet, the way a garden sounds before the birds wake up. Brooke's family came by every weekend now, sometimes twice. The kids built forts out of couch cushions and cereal boxes, elaborate ones, with tunnels and secret rooms and rules only they understood. One Saturday, Liam dragged me to the kitchen, pointed at the pantry. "Mom, we need more boxes." I laughed. "We just gave you 5. "Yeah, but we're building a castle now. Castles need towers." Brooke leaned against the counter, coffee in hand, smiling. They've been planning this since Tuesday. I handed him 2 more boxes. He ran off, yelling instructions to his cousins. Their laughter bounced off the walls, filled every corner. This was what family was supposed to sound like. Later, while the kids played, Liam came back to the kitchen, quieter this time, thoughtful. He looked at the boxes we'd saved for recycling, green stripes on the side. "No more green boxes?" he asked. I knelt down, met his eyes. "Just the ones we make." He nodded, slowly, like he was turning something over in his mind. Then he grabbed his markers and a piece of paper, sat at the table, drew for 20 minutes straight, tongue poking out the corner of his mouth the way it does when he's concentrating. When he finished, he held it up. "Can we put this on the fridge?" It was a drawing, 4 figures holding hands. Stick people, but careful, detailed. Each one had a name written underneath. Liam, Mom, Aunt Brooke, the cousins. At the top, in green crayon, the green thread. One of the figures, the smallest one, was holding something round, a circle, maybe a ball, maybe the world. I taped it to the fridge, right in the center, where the old birthday list used to be. "It's perfect," I whispered. He grinned, ran back to the fort. That night, after everyone left, I sat on the porch. Same chair I'd been sitting in months ago when that first text came through. Tight month. Same quiet air, same street, same sky. But everything felt different. I thought about the faucet I'd shut off, the auto transfers, the endless giving, and I realized something. No dripping, no waiting, no thirst. The tap was closed, and I wasn't sitting there hoping it would turn back on. You ever spend so long trying to fix something broken that you forget what it feels like to just build something new? I'd spent years trying to fill a hollow bond with full gift bags, with money, with time, with pieces of myself I didn't even realize I was giving away. But you can't fix a hollow bond with a full gift bag. You just can't. What you can do, what I did, is build a home that never forgets who showed up. Brooke showed up every weekend, sometimes with cupcakes, sometimes just with coffee and her presence. Liam's teacher showed up, asked how we were doing, really asked, not just to be polite. My neighbor, the one who barely knew me, showed up with a casserole when she heard I was sick, said, "No need to return the dish, just pass it on when you can." That's family, not the people who share your blood, the people who share your load. I pulled out my phone, scrolled through old messages out of habit. Nothing new, nothing expected. The family thread I'd been removed from was still there, still continuing without me. I could see it if I wanted to, through Brooke's phone, through screenshots, but I didn't want to anymore. Some doors close quietly, no slam, no drama, just a soft click, and you realize you're standing on the other side, and it's okay. Better than okay. It's peaceful. I thought about that second bulletin, the one with the green ink. Family healing starts with seeing your own shadows. Maybe they were trying. Maybe they weren't. Maybe it didn't matter anymore. Because I'd already started healing. And I'd done it without waiting for permission, without waiting for an apology, without waiting for them to see me. I just started. Have you ever stopped pouring into people who never drank with you? When you finally stepped back, did your silence taste like peace? Mine did. It tasted like Saturday mornings with cereal box castles, like Liam's laughter, Like Brooke's quiet thank you when I told her she didn't need to bring anything next time. It tasted like knowing I was enough, that we were enough, just as we were. I stood up, stretched, looked at the stars. Somewhere, 2 houses down or 2 states over, my parents were living their lives. Maybe they were healing. Maybe they weren't. Maybe they'd wake up one day and realize what they lost. Or maybe they wouldn't. Either way, I'd be here, building forts, taping drawings to the fridge, choosing the family that chose me back. No one's sipping anymore. And that's exactly how it should be.